Hi everybody, I'm Karen Hartglass. You are listening to It's All About Food. Thank you for joining me. And joining me today, as he has for the entire year so far of 2020, Gary DiMattei, my co-host of It's All About Food. Cheers, Gary.
Cheers, Karen. It's great to be back this week. I have lots of gratitude today.
We're going to talk about gratitude.
Gratitude.
Can't talk about gratitude enough. And first, I'm grateful for our rooibos chai, pronounced rooibos chai in this family.
Not rooibois?
No. Gary made a nice big pot, and he's serving it in some beautiful china. And I have gratitude for all this beauty surrounding us while we're going to sit and chat with all of you.
Yes, I look forward to this. I hope you do.
So here we are at Responsible Eating and Living Pandemic Headquarters.
Ho ho, the Wells Fargo wagon is a-coming down the street. Oh, please let it be for me. And it was!
It was the Wells Fargo wagon.
It came. It was here. It arrived.
It brought us wonderful things that we ordered a month ago.
Yes, we did. A month. It took a month for the Wells Fargo wagon to get here, but I'm grateful for that Wells Fargo wagon driver.
Yes.
Now, of course, I kid.
It wasn't the Wells Fargo wagon, but we're grateful for all the delivery people who are bringing our packages.
Yes, we really are, because we feel really guilty about the fact that they have to work and serve us and do those terrible things so that we can all live and
risk their lives.
Yeah.
Out there being exposed. Now, some will say it's not a risk and we should all have herd immunity and whatever. But anyway, we're sheltering in place here in the epicenter of the coronavirus, Queens, New York.
Yeah, what is that? I mean, there are so many different theories going on. There's the economy-driven theories, not even theories. People are just talking off the top of their heads because they want people to get back in and start the economy up. And yeah, so what? People die. And then there are people who are just more or less in place, waiting for science to let us know when it's okay to get out there and
We're hearing a lot of different things, and it's really hard to know what's right and what's true. And you know what? We don't know.
Well, I mean, I think I know, and I'm just going to use my own truth, and maybe I'm in denial about my own truth. But I've listened and I've read a lot of different things, and I feel that it's really important to listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to your heart, and not the news. I follow science. I don't follow the stock market. I don't follow the economy, per se. I follow what the scientists are trying to do with what they've been given. But more importantly, I think I listen to my own heart and my own mind.
That's really important. I think many people, including myself sometimes, don't know how to listen to our own bodies. It takes a certain amount of effort to quiet the mind and first kind of clear yourself of all that exterior noise that's coming in, and that takes some effort, breathing and meditation. And then you can tune in and really have a conversation with your body.
And I know you've talked about this a lot on the show over the past, how many years now, Karen?
11.
Yeah, I don't feel right about claiming the co-host spot. I just think I'm here as color. I'm the color commentator. I provide a few of the... my color commentary is somewhat lighthearted and anecdotal, but you really have been doing the heavy lifting on this show for a lot of years. And I know you talk about this a lot. It's really to be mindful. You talk about meditation a lot, and there are different forms of meditation or different degrees of meditation. A lot of people think of meditation as just sitting still, quieting your mind, breathing, focusing on your breathing.
And not thinking of anything, which is the hard part.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that.
And a lot of people talk about, well, the way to start is by focusing on just your breath. Mm-hmm. And then I was talking with some Buddhist monks and some Buddhist nuns one day and asked them about meditation. And they said, well, there are different forms of meditation. The meditation that when you sit still and you have time, 20 minutes or so to meditate, is a luxury. But there are other forms of meditation where people who work in the fields, for example, they are constantly having to work. And so they don't have the luxury to sit still and meditate. But there is a form of meditation when you're actually in the process of working, when you're doing something with your hands. That can be a form of meditation. And so there are different levels of meditation. A lot of people have to work. They don't have the time to meditate. Then they have to come home and take care of their families. And so is it possible to meditate while you're on the move like that? And apparently it is. And I've been exploring a lot of that type of meditation as well. Because when I do tasks, sometimes it's very meditative.
A repetitive task, especially.
Right. Cooking, for example,
Mm-hmm.
which this program is about food and about the preparation of food and how that connects with everything else in your life. Food, you will find, connects to everything. That's why you so brilliantly called this program It's All About Food, because it is. It's all about feeding ourselves and our families, right? What if you don't have time to sit still and meditate? But you still can meditate. And I know of a lot of people who, when they do yoga, for example, feel that it's a meditative process.
Oh, absolutely. Because there's that focus on your breathing that's so important.
Right. But what if you don't have time to do yoga? What if you don't have time to even take...
I think there always is time.
I know you do. And that's a good thing to talk about. That's why this balance, I think, of you and I talking together is good.
And the thing about cooking, I find it very meditative, but some people find a lot of stress in cooking. I think that's because they're not, I don't want to use the word skilled, but they're not practiced enough in cooking so you can do it without necessarily stressing or thinking. You and I, we can just chop things and
you go to another place when you're cooking sometimes.
Definitely.
With
the fragrances and the smells, it can really uplift you.
Right. And that's what it's about for me today.
So if you're just getting into cooking and you're not enjoying it, trust me, it's like crawling, walking, running. Just do it and you'll get better at it. And then at some point, maybe you'll find yourself traveling somewhere and it'll be very uplifting.
Yeah, so meditating doesn't necessarily mean sitting still and trying to quiet your mind. For some of us, which is impossible to do, quieting our minds because there's so much noise going on. There are forms of meditation, and I find it's very meditative to cook. And you might have something that you do that you find is very meditative. I don't know if reading counts, but I know a lot of people read and they go to another place when they read. And I'm thinking anything counts if it lowers your blood pressure, calms you down, and allows you to go to a place that you feel nice.
I typically meditate for about 20 minutes. And sometimes I find that my mind is so noisy in those 20 minutes that I can't get to that place.
Right. No, I do too. And so I have to always go back to focusing on my breathing. That's my default.
And I'll do it again. I'll say, if I have time, of course, I'll say, okay, I didn't get where I wanted to go. Let's start again.
Yeah.
Let's start again. Or sometimes...
And it's okay to do that.
And it's okay. Yeah, there's no judgment here.
There are no rules in meditating other than try and breathe.
Breathing.
Don't forget to focus on... breathing is what I do for a living.
There he goes. He said it.
I like that. I'm going to use that a lot.
Yes.
All right, so today we're going to talk about a lot of different things. Think of today's show as a basket of wildflowers that you've picked in a field out in front of Scarborough Fair.
Beautiful. Well, you talked about the Wells Fargo wagon, and I want to just finish up on that thought.
Okay.
Before we go to the fair.
Yeah, we're going to go to the Scarborough Fair today, but first we're going to finish up with the Wells Fargo wagon.
So we made an order 1 month ago today with Sun Organic Farm. You can go to sunorganicfarm.com. They have a lot of wonderful dried goods like beans and grains and dried fruit. There are lots of different online sources for these things. A month ago, when things were peaking here in terms of numbers with coronavirus cases and coronavirus deaths.
Things were peaking during the toilet paper pandemic.
Yeah, things were peaking. And we were, I don't want to say we were panicking, but we were running out of dried beans. And so we were looking online. And I have to admit that usually when I shop online, I'm a bean counter.
Right. Yeah, you have
and
to be
I try and find the best quality product for the best price. And
sometimes it takes days.
I've loosened up a little bit because now it's all about getting quality food. Not necessarily at any price, but we're paying more. I'll admit it, we're paying more.
Well, we're not going out and getting it either, so...
And we're not going out to eat either. So
Right.
that budget is going back to the foods that we're buying to eat at home. And we found Sun Organic Farm because we were looking for soybeans. And a lot of you have written in and asked, where are you getting your soybeans? Because I've been talking about soy milk, making soy milk, and making tofu. And this is where we got our soybeans.
Sun Organic Farms.
Sun Organic Farm. Now, they are open and transparent and saying that normally they have quick turnarounds, but during this time they're behind. And their website will tell you how behind they are. The last time I looked, they said they were about 3 weeks behind.
So it took us a month.
Well, I think they said they were about a month behind when we ordered, but they're true and they deliver.
Yeah, they did
They deliver. And we went through...
If you follow Karen's Instagram page, you can see a great shot of our delivery yesterday that she laid out on one of the counters here at home.
Now, I'm not a big fan of plastic, but it's kind of hard not to ship in plastic. And they shipped all of our beans and dried fruit and grains in sealed plastic bags. And in the coronavirus era, what's nice about that is we carefully took everything out of the box. We had our mask and gloves on. I was able to soap every one of those bags and rinse to make sure they were clean.
Right. And we got it all put away. It was really a lot of fun.
It was fun. And this is the new normal.
Yeah, and which raises a great segue. Can we ever go back to normal? And I know there's a lot of things circulating now on all of the news sites and veg sites, especially about this letter that was generated to scientists or by scientists and celebrities saying no to a return to normal to avoid future ecological disasters. I'm sure some of you are reading it. 200 high-profile scientists and celebrities have signed a letter calling on world leaders and society to make changes to our lives to avoid future ecological disasters. You can look it up if you want to read it.
It was published in the French paper Le Monde on May 6th, and there is an English translation as well.
Right. The gist of it is, can we ever get back to a normal, but more importantly, do we ever want to go back to where we were?
And the point of this article is no, we don't want to go back to normal. We want to go to a better place, a place where we know the world is going to be cleaner and our activities will be more sustainable and we'll be healthier and kinder. Who doesn't want that?
I want it, but there are a lot of people that don't. And so that's why I'm going to go back to you have to listen to your heart. You know, a lot of people are talking about gratitude and what are you grateful for? I know you made a lovely gratitude post on
I did
social
about a week
media
ago on Facebook.
Right before you
I don't know what motivated me other than the fact that I was filled with gratitude. We've been talking a little bit the last few weeks about sitting out on our terrace.
Right, and the sun came out. I think that was a big contributor to gratitude.
The sun came out. We could sit in the morning on the terrace, and it just made me feel good.
Yes.
Just made me feel good. And then I started to think, what am I grateful for? And I wrote this post on Facebook. I was grateful for the sun and the ability to be able to sit out in it, and for the foods that are being delivered to our home and the people that get it there. The farmers, the people that harvest the food, the people that pick it up and deliver it to different places and package it, and then the folks that deliver it to our doors. There's a lot of things to be grateful for. I thought about the teas that we drink. The teas also, a lot of times they come from very far places. And the teapots and the teacups that we drink them in. There's just so many different things.
You're going to hear me pouring some more tea.
I also mentioned in that gratitude my friend Bilal Kizilbash, who's the creator of Easy Kale. And we sprinkle Easy Kale on so many different dishes just to get a little more boost and more nutrition from kale. So there are a lot of things to be grateful for. And when you feel good, maybe that's a good thing to think about. Why do I feel good? What is it that's making me feel good? So that you know what makes you feel good. So that when you're not feeling good, you can go back to those things that make you feel good.
You know, some of the things I do when I daydream, and I guess we can call that meditating. Again, I'm a noisy meditator. Is that even a phrase? Meditator? But when I meditate, there's a lot of noise going on. And so now, instead of, I mean, it's good to wish and hope and want things for yourself, sure. But some of the things that I'm trying to do now to enrich my spirit, my soul during these dark times, to lighten things during these dark times, is good old-fashioned wishing and hoping and wanting things for others. That is something, if people pray, I remember praying many, many years ago, but a lot of times people want things for other people, want good things to happen for other people. And that's what I've been focusing a lot on lately. And it's really corny, you know?
No.
But I think we all need a little corn in our life. And
Organic,
speaking of corn,
non-GMO corniness.
Speaking of corn, we got our popcorn.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're going to have a popcorn party.
We are. Right here at Responsible Eating and Living Pandemic Headquarters. From Sun Organic Farm.
From Sun Organic. I'm really excited.
Okay, we got soybeans, French lentils, black beans, garbanzo beans, and split peas. We got rolled oats. We got popcorn. All of it's organic. Buckwheat. We couldn't find raw buckwheat anywhere. And you know, I like to make buckwheat flour and make crepes.
Right. We were supposed to have crepes this morning, but we just had bowls instead.
We went bowling instead.
We went bowling!
But the thing we got a lot of...
What was that?
What was that, Gary? We got raisins.
Oh, I wonder why.
Gary is a raisin connoisseur and a raisin consumer.
And I'm telling you, you could taste the California sunshine in these raisins. I know I sound like a commercial, but these are good raisins they sent us from Sun Organic
Which
Farms.
were not coated in oil. Why are raisins coated in oil? I don't have that answer, but we don't get raisins that are coated in oil.
Why do people coat raisins in oil? I don't
they're
get
sticky?
that.
I don't know.
They don't, no. I don't, I think it's a ploy. I think it's an oil industry ploy.
There's a scheme.
Let's put oil on everything. But
okay.
All ploys aside, that was a lovely gratitude post that you had.
Thank you.
And would you like more tea?
I would.
All right, you're going to hear us pouring some tea here, folks.
Will you take me to the fair?
Yeah, so summer means,
Thank you, Gary.
Fairs, carnivals, county fairs. How many of you out there ever went to a county fair? I remember I used to go to a county fair every year. But there's a lot of things that are probably going to be canceled, a lot of summer activities.
All of them.
So you have to bring the Scarborough Fair to you. What food go with that theme of going to the fair?
Obviously, we think of the song.
Yeah.
Scarborough Fair, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And oregano and basil.
So many different herbs.
You've probably been listening or watching different videos. People are putting up health coaches and people that are into nutrition and wanting to share some helpful news about how to get through this pandemic and how to keep your immune system strong. I know we've talked about it on this show, getting the right vitamins and sleep and
we're not
hydrating.
Really, but when we talk about things, folks, we're not trying to sell you anything.
No, we're not selling anything.
I mean, a lot of times you'll hear about these videos that you watch and these things that you are listening to. They're trying to sell you either a product or a package of, buy this package and you'll get all of these experts' opinions about turmeric, for example. It's supposed to be the cure-all, and it's good for you, turmeric, correct?
There's no question turmeric's good for you. In fact, when I was going through my cancer romp some 14 years ago, I took lots of supplements.
Yeah.
The curcumin that had the intent.
Keyword, lots.
Lots. Yeah,
you took a lot.
I spent a lot of money on supplements back then.
You took a lot of different supplements.
Yes, I took a variety.
Not just turmeric.
Exactly. And, I wasn't sure if any of them worked or if one worked, but the point was to take a variety of them that were recommended. And the key word here is is lots, like you said, variety.
A variety.
So there is no one food, no one supplement, no one herb, no one spice, no one food, no one fruit. Are you getting my picture here? There's no one thing that is going to solve all of your health problems.
No. Repeat.
No, not one.
No,
no, not one.
That's right.
And then Mabel comes in.
Right.
Yes, one. That's Pirates of Penzance. We're not talking about
It's
that.
Mabel. It's Mabel. Oh.
It's me. Oh, my please. We're talking about food now.
Although Pirates of Penzance is another wonderful show that we should definitely cover with just two people.
Absolutely.
During a
We're
pandemic.
talking about that.
We should play all the parts.
But when talking about lots and variety.
Variety is the spice of life. Another corny saying, another cliche, but cliches are true in many respects.
Yes, but I want to talk about herbs and spices.
Yes.
And the variety of herbs and spices. So you may hear somebody saying that you need to, or they recommend that you try some obscure herb and because they have wonderful health properties. They just might. But I want you to look at your own pantry and the herbs and spices that you already have, or at least are easy to find. And
right there on
get.
the shelf that you've probably looked past every day and thought, those can't do anything for me.
They all have wonderful, wonderful properties. So herbs in general, they have some of the highest antioxidant levels.
Just basic herbs.
Just herbs, just a dash of an herb can reduce inflammation and can protect against DNA damage sometimes.
We're talking parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, oregano.
That's right.
Basil.
That's right. And you know what's interesting? We talk about where these herbs may be grown. So hydroponic foods are really interesting.
We've got a little hydroponic garden going on right now.
We're growing...
growing celery.
We're growing celery and lettuce.
And lettuce.
So we've taken the celery that we've eaten and we've saved the bottoms of them and we're now growing them. You've seen this, right?
It's the same principle as when you take an avocado pit and put some toothpicks in it. And
I got one of those too.
Yeah, we're going to do an avocado thing too.
Anyway, that makes me think of something else I want to talk about. But in hydroponic gardening, for example, the plant is stressed. And this is an example of when stress is good. So the plant is stressed and the plant will have more antioxidants in it. It'll be more nutritious when it's stressed. So hydroponic gardening can be beneficial. Whereas gardening with pesticides and herbicides, they fight the pests for the plant and the plant doesn't get as stressed. So it doesn't have as much nutrition in it, which is really interesting.
Farmer, put away your DDT
now. Yes.
I don't mind spots on my apples. Leave the birds and the bees. There's
Please. So let's just talk about some of the herbs that are in your pantry.
Yeah.
And some of the possible benefits. Now, of course, herbs are inexpensive and there haven't been a lot of scientific studies on them because, you know, the story, we live in a capitalistic society and the studies that pharmaceutical companies like to do and invest in, the big expensive studies are the ones where they have the potential of creating a product to sell you and making a lot of money.
Exactly.
And they can't make a lot of money on parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, oregano, and basil, and all those other wonderful
Unless
herbs.
they prove you can smoke it and get high, which they were trying to make claims like that about certain herbs when I was growing up.
And I'm talking about herbs that you put in food, herbs that you put in tea. You could do aromatherapy with an oil. I'm not talking about big concentrations or consuming oils or tinctures. I'm just talking about simple culinary herbs in your food, a pinch here, a dash here, making a tea, or maybe having some aromatherapy, a little oil or something, and adding some fragrance to the air.
And why are we talking about herbs? Because we're also approaching the time when you're going to be out in your garden, if you have a garden, or you're on your terrace, and you could start growing some of these herbs. You can do fresh herbs. But I'm certain many of you already have these dried herbs in your pantries.
Well, the thing is, we're in a time of coronavirus, okay? And people are concerned. What can they do?
Grow some herbs.
Grow some herbs. Gardening, for example, lifts your spirits.
Yes.
When you're happier,
very meditative.
You have less stress. It's very meditative. You could do it inside. You could do it outside.
Limits your phone time. It's all good.
But the consuming of herbs in small doses, this is not concentrated doses, just little pinches and in teas can have benefit.
Sure. And a lot of people are trying to push this now, too, with oregano oils and all of these different things for medicinal purposes. But these are things that you can do in your own home.
So let's talk about oregano. Okay, these are just some simple things. Health benefits of oregano. I mentioned antioxidants, right? Herbs are big in antioxidants and can help fight inflammation. Some of these herbs, like oregano, may help fight bacteria. They have potent antibacterial properties. And they also have anti-cancer properties. They may help reduce viral infection. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Absolutely.
Check that out. So you can make a soup or a tea with oregano. But not just oregano.
You not only talk the talk, you walk the walk. And you have brewed these herb teas.
I haven't done it in a while, and I'm going to get back to that.
Many times.
I just make a tea of the herbs that I have in the house.
Right.
Now, some people might find that a little too savory. You can mix things up. I like to add fennel sometimes with my herbs, and fennel has benefits too. All of these seeds and herbs and spices.
If you want your herbs sweeter, you could add a little jam to them, a little jam
You could
paste.
add a sweetener a little bit. That's fine.
We make a nice date paste, and we make a nice apricot butter, and, that often goes in our teas.
How about rosemary? I love the smell of rosemary.
She's a great gal. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
That's
And
an old line from an old melodrama. Rosemary's a great gal.
Well, wait a minute. Do you know the line in Hamlet?
Of course.
Where Ophelia notes that rosemary is for remembrance?
That's right.
Well, the interesting thing is Shakespeare or somebody or everybody back then knew that rosemary may be beneficial for brain function and memory.
Absolutely.
And it's not just consuming a little pinch here and there, but it's also breathing the fragrance of rosemary. Both of those things are beneficial.
Rosemary's all herbs are very Shakespearean. Friar Lawrence brews a concoction.
Maybe not the best thing.
For Juliet to drink out of all of his. He must have been an herbalist in his osier cage.
Then.
He gathered up herbs in his osier cage. Anyway,
so rosemary...
We digress.
...can improve your concentration. It's been shown to be good for digestion, and it also can help with memory, like brain aging. Get a little rosemary in your life. Then there's lavender, and I love the smell of lavender. We have it in a lot of our soaps and things.
Wonderful.
When I clean, for example, what do you clean with? I take a bucket of water and a sponge, and I throw in a few drops of lavender, and that's what I wipe everything down with.
Yes, and a little baking soda sometimes helps too.
Sure, to scrub the tub or the toilet.
And a little vinegar sometimes helps too.
Vinegar is good for the mirrors and things. And vinegar also has those antibacterial properties.
Right there in your own home, you can be an herbalist. Right?
That's right.
You are all apothecaries in the making, and you don't even know it.
But lavender can help with anxiety. And so if you're feeling anxious, get your lavender drops out. Take a bath and put some lavender drops in it.
Well, what relaxes you in the summer right outside your window every year?
Oh, the linden tree.
The linden tree.
1 week a year we get that fabulous fragrance.
But you were able to find some linden tea.
Linden tea, folks. That's where I get that great fragrance, that wonderful smell. Linden tea.
Yes. So
and you have to get a quality linden tea because I'll tell you, the French offer tilleul, which is linden tea, in bags. I don't like tea bags. Let's not go there right now. But I used to drink it all the time, and it just tasted like nothing.
Right. But this tastes pretty good, doesn't it?
Well, it's almost like a jasmine tea. It has a very floral fragrance, like the flowers when they bloom once a week every year from the tree. That's by our terrace.
Right. It lasts about a week, the smell, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a good loose, organic linden flowers tea is what I recommend.
And these can really add to your... Go stick your nose in a can of oregano. Go ahead. I dare you. It really does.
Lift your spirits.
Lift your spirits. It really does.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's good, organic oregano.
Well, that's the thing. If it's stale, it's not going to smell very good.
Right. So I say grow your own this summer. Get yourself an herb garden going. Do I know how to do that? Absolutely not. But you probably do. And so let me know at info@realmeals.org how I can start my herb garden without having to go out and buy plants at Home Depot.
Yeah, well, if you have property, some of these things grow like weeds, like mint and things. And I remember in fields, open fields, the thyme growing, and I love thyme, fresh thyme or dry thyme. Thyme is also very therapeutic. It's a metaphor. Thank you. But in these days of coronavirus, and you're concerned about coughs, thyme tea is very relaxing, and some have used it for whooping cough and sore throat and arthritis and upset stomachs and diarrhea, who knows, all kinds of things. But just simple thyme tea, it's lovely after dinner. You can use dried thyme or fresh thyme. Not a lot, just enough to give a little flavor and fragrance.
This is all very Shakespearean because this has so many different meanings when you use the word thyme. Let's also talk about something that I know is very popular in folks' herb gardens, and that's basil.
Ooh.
Now, what are some of the things you can do with basil?
Pesto!
Yeah, you can dry it. And you can also make pesto.
I love pesto. I love basil pesto. It's like crack to me.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like a lot of oil in their diet. So I make a pesto where I use pumpkin seeds and or sunflower seeds as the oil. And if you have a Vitamix, you can do this. But instead of drizzling oil in there, you just put the garlic and the basil in your blender, add some of the seeds, a little bit of water, some nutritional yeast, and you've got an amazing pesto.
So here's the thing about that. You need to make it and then eat it, or freeze some of it.
It can definitely be frozen.
Because when something is made in oil, it'll last a long time. When something is made with water, it starts to degrade.
Absolutely.
So when you have a jar of tahini, it's just tahini, which is oil. And when you mix it and make tahini dressing with water, it's going to go bad in 3 or 4 days.
Sure. And those of you that don't mind oil, make your pesto with oil, but don't make it with cheese. Use nutritional yeast as a cheese substitute. The nuts that you use and the nutritional yeast and the oil together make its own cheese right there. You don't have to worry about it. It's delicious. It really is. And what nuts do you use when you make your pesto? Well, the traditional way to make pesto is with pine nuts, but those are very expensive. So can you use walnuts? Of course. Walnut pesto is, it's so 80s. But it's coming back. And there are other nuts. I like using seeds, a different variety of nuts. Cashews make a great pesto. And then when you mix cashews with nutritional yeast, you have yourself a nice cheese right there in the blender. So have a lot of fun with pesto.
So basil is another herb that has all kinds of medicinal properties. And I want to repeat, we don't want to take a lot, just a little. They have these concentrated oils in them, and a little goes a long way. Basil is reportedly good for so many things. Loaded with antioxidants, good for digestion, it's anti-inflammatory, and it could soothe a fever, a headache, a sore throat, a cold, a cough, a flu, maybe even coronavirus.
No, you don't want to say that.
I don't want to say that. And skin benefits. Basil can be like the other herbs with these wonderful fragrances, can help with depression and anxiety. So many wonderful things, and probably things we don't even know about. But we are meant to consume herbs, and that's why they smell so good.
Right. It's really awesome to add them to all of your cooking, and summer is a great time to experiment with all of these fresh herbs. But this is a year-round thing because thankfully we have dried herbs. So get back into your pantry and start pulling out some of these herbs. If you need a source for organic herbs and spices, I think we have one for you. Don't we, Karen? We have a source for organic herbs and spices?
Well, we get them from a number of places. There's Star West Botanicals.
Star West Botanicals. We'll put that link up on today's page.
Right. There's a few others. I'll link to all of them on the page. I've mentioned Vitacost before. We frequently buy a lot of dried goods from Vitacost.com, and they have a variety of organic herbs and spices.
That would be a great name for a company. Urban Organics. Urban.
It was. It was a food delivery service that we don't have anymore.
No, Herb.
Urban
H-E-R-B.
Oh, Urban, not you. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We're playing on words. We did have
We're playing on words a lot today. So what about sage? I love sage. Sage is so wonderful.
Yeah.
It's got to be beneficial, right?
Well, we're talking about the classic herbs that people cook with maybe for holidays. Sage is a very Thanksgiving kind of herb, and then we forget about it for the rest of the year. Well, don't forget about it.
Right. No, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful, again, to cook with, and it has many benefits in addition to being an antioxidant. Okay, this is a repeated theme because herbs are full of antioxidants, which help us with inflammation and help us with potentially harmful free radicals that are linked to chronic diseases. Sage is really good. It can help with oral health, may ease menopause symptoms like hot flashes, and it can help with memory and brain health. I just love the fragrance of it, and I just find it very uplifting.
You know what I love to do with sage? And again, it's fattening, but is mix it with a little vegan butter.
Sage butter.
Sage butter is wonderful. And you
well, I was going to mention that sage may lower bad LDL cholesterol, but mixing it with any kind of butter may not help
right.
with cholesterol.
Yeah, you're always going to get me going.
But occasionally it's okay for a
once
treat,
in a while,
right?
Mix that with a little pasta, little sage butter. Yum.
But again, herbs are good. There are all kinds of may help with when you read about herbs. And they're all kind of similar. They may help with our skin. They may help with our bones because they have like vitamin K. And they may help with digestive issues. And I just want to mention one more herb that a lot of people use, and that's parsley.
I love parsley.
Parsley is so amazing. And you know what? I'm thinking about parsley, and it's kind of making me angry for a minute. But parsley is rich in vitamins. Vitamin K, vitamin A, vitamin C. I'm thinking about that genetically modified golden rice and how they've genetically modified it so that it would have beta-carotene, because a lot of people who are starving and not getting enough food are low in vitamin A. Well, they're low in vitamin A because they're not eating enough and they're not getting enough nutritious food. And so these big ag companies come along and they say, let's make a genetically modified food like golden rice and make these people eat it so they'll get the nutrition they need. Well, how about allowing them to grow the foods that grow naturally in their region and giving them the tools they need to grow property and maybe grow trees and have a coordinated effort so that they're protected against droughts and you can strengthen their soils. And then I think about there must be a plant that grows in those regions that's naturally rich in vitamin A, like we have parsley.
Parsley's wonderful.
Sorry for that rant.
No, that's okay.
I saw vitamin A and just think about these
That
things.
was a good Vandana Shiva rant.
Vandana Shiva, we love her.
Yes, she's wonderful.
Can she rule the world? It would be such a better place.
She needs to go vegan, though. I think she might just be vegetarian.
I think she's vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, we love Vandana Shiva, and that was wonderful, Karen. You need to rant. I mean, I learned so much from your rants. But
But parsley is another
Parsley's
awesome.
Wonderful. It's not just a garnish. As a matter of fact, when it comes on your plate as a garnish, I've seen you many times just pick it up and eat it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the garnishes. You know, once I was at a big fancy event and they didn't have a special meal for me. I didn't think to request it, but everybody had watercress as a garnish on their plate. And I was going around, could I have your watercress? And I made myself a big watercress like salad. From the garnish.
You're great to have around when there's garnish to be used. Okay, so Karen, let's stop a minute and get you on another rant here. What are antioxidants and what are free radicals? For those of you who don't know what they are, Just give us in like 5 words or less, what is an antioxidant?
Okay, well, antioxidants
Means something that is...
They can prevent or slow damage to the cells, which are caused by free radicals. And free radicals are these unstable molecules in our bodies. They can be there because of reactions to the environment and pressures and stress and toxic foods. And the body has this natural way of fighting all these things that shouldn't be in our bodies from food or environment or stress. But we're overloaded in this current world.
So we're talking about we need to fortify.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to fortify for the big fight.
So we're talking about foods that fortify, herbs and spices that fortify, lifestyle that fortify, like meditation and exercise.
This program all makes sense today. I'm telling you. It's all like we planned it, which we did.
It's all to strengthen the body, nourish the body, help the physical body and the emotional body so that we all can live long, quality lives.
Right. It's important to fortify your body, but it's also important to satisfy your body. So we're talking about some meals that fortify and satisfy. That'll be fun to kind of play around with for summer fair eating, or summer fair. F-A-R-E and F-A-I-R. When you bring your Scarborough Fair to your backyard. And some of my favorite foods, obviously, when the weather changes and I want to eat outside, al fresco sandwiches. I love sandwiches. And
sandwiches only.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people are with me on sandwiches. And it's not just a summer thing, but during the summer, I know one of your favorite sandwiches is a grilled vegetable sandwich.
How did you know that? Oh, my heart. With
pesto. So that's, grill some vegetables up. I know we like to grill eggplant and zucchini and
bell peppers for me.
And
red
onions.
And orange and yellow. They're so sweet.
We even grill potatoes. And you put all those in your favorite wrap or bread, 2 slices of bread, or for you it would probably be a giant kale leaf or something.
It could be collard leaf, kale,
or collard
salad.
leaf that's been blanched, so it's just a quick
tender.
Tender. Roll that up. I know those are fun to make, those grilled veggie sandwiches. And if you want to grill a little tofu to go in there, I also love tofu clubs.
Another one.
Yeah, with some tempeh bacon and some tomato and avocado on a nice grilled focaccia or some kind of...
and a good schmear on there.
Yeah, so that could also be a nice vegan mayo that you make without oil. You could make it with cashews.
Or any nut or seed.
There's some great vegan mayo recipes out there that you don't need to use oil. And we do this thing that's on our website called Seed Caesar and Little Seed Caesar that I make with sunflower seeds, which is almost mayo-like. And it's a cross between a mayo and an aioli, but it doesn't have any oil in it. The fat is provided by the seeds. And again, as Karen mentioned, you got to freeze that if you're not going to use all of it in the next couple of days. We put it in jars, and if we don't open it, it lasts a few days. But once we open it, we've got to eat it up. And it's great as a salad dressing as well. Other meals that we like. I made something last night that was pretty good.
It was very good.
Because we got our big shipment of beans. I made a kasha, which is buckwheat, and potatoes and onions.
Yes, but you know what makes it kasha? What makes a raw buckwheat groat kasha is when you toast the buckwheat groat. And you can buy it already toasted,
right,
or you can toast it yourself.
Right.
And of course, here at Responsible Eating and Living Pandemic Headquarters, we like to make everything ourselves.
We had a really bad experience with store-bought toasted buckwheat that was rancid.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you buy grains that are cooked or somewhat processed and not fresh, they can be on the shelf forever. Yeah.
Some of the other meals that are really great for eating al fresco, eating outside, obviously these aren't going to, these aren't very difficult. You probably do these at home all of the time. Burritos. I know your favorite is a black bean burrito with avocado and some sort of grain in there.
I love it. It
Yeah.
is a favorite.
And what do you like as far as the skin, the wrap?
It doesn't always have to be a burrito. It can be.
I think we need to always make it a burrito because
You're the burrito boy.
well, we just got a bunch of masa harina in, and you're going to start making more tortillas with this great
with
this
the
sweet
potato and cassava flour, which
Oh,
makes
that's-
it's like a flour tortilla.
That's my new favorite wrap: sweet potato
okay,
and cassava flour.
You're on. I'm gonna make a burrito
Yeah.
with that.
Throw those on the grill. Put some black beans, some avocado, your favorite grain. We like millet or
We also like to make wraps with garbanzo bean flour. We make
Yes.
soca,
soca.
which is a garbanzo bean chickpea flour crepe. But if you
And those have a lot of herbs in them. And all of these things you can throw herbs into. You could put herbs in your black beans. You could put herbs in your...
I like to put herbs in the soca in the garbanzo bean flour crepe because the garbanzo bean flour tends to have a beany flavor. Surprise. But it's a
Isn't
raw...
it supposed to?
Yeah, it's a raw beany flavor.
So that's
and the
thing.
soca isn't highly cooked. So I like to really flavor it up. I add onion powder and I add cardamom. Cardamom. Whatever you like, but it's good to add herbs and spices to the garbanzo flour.
Such
crepe.
a delicious crepe. And it's ancient. I mean, it goes way back.
It is ancient.
They were making soca
a long
time ago. And soca.
And soca.
But another great thing to do is to play around with pizza. And you don't necessarily need to have a yeast dough for pizza. You could do pizzellis, which are made with these things that we're talking about, these socas or wraps or garbanzo bean flour or crepes or whatever you want to call them, and just put your favorite toppings on those, stick them in the oven or stick them on your grill and let them heat up. And put lots of herbs on them, fresh herbs or dried herbs, and they're delicious. You know, same principle as you would do with your yeast dough pizzas, but you can then make them, or you could even make them on a colored leaf.
What about a polenta pizza?
A polenta pizza?
You can make polenta and let it cool in the shape in a round pan or a rectangle pan, and then you could slice it later. And
sure, there's a lot you can play around with for your outdoor Scarborough Fair this summer. I know we like to have all kinds of ingredients at our fingertips so we can assemble something, but sometimes the simplest ingredients make the best meals that satisfy as well as fortify. Remember that. And a mixed grill of vegetables is one of those components that you can then throw on a pizza, put in a wrap, put in a burrito, sprinkle on top of your pasta, put it on your peanut butter sandwich. I don't know. Grilled vegetables are wonderful, and hopefully the farmers markets will at least be able to regulate how they do business this summer.
So the barbecue is a big thing in the summer, and some of us may not be able to get to a place where we can grill outdoors. But having a cast iron grill or whatever, another kind of griddle is the next best thing.
Break out that George Foreman griddle pan.
Where you can grill at home and get those summery flavors.
Yeah, because that's fun.
Because it's fun.
I know we're fixing up our terrace. We're going to start growing some herbs and some veggies, and you're sprouting celery here at home, and it's a lot of fun. And,
well, there are some studies that are coming out more and more that show how gardening makes people happy, or the people that are gardening are happier.
Yeah.
We are meant to grow food.
I agree.
We are meant to connect with the food that nourishes us. And I know that just on our counter right now, we're growing those celery stalks and those romaine lettuce leftovers, and they're making me happy. I talk to them every day.
You do. Karen she's the celery whisperer. She talks to the celery. She cheers it on, as well as the little romaine lettuce that you're growing. I think one of the guys might not.
It's going to make it.
You think he's going to make it?
I believe it. The little leftover romaine heart that could.
Oh, well, that's
Stay
awesome.
tuned. It's going to make it.
It's really very...
Its little green heart is pumping.
It's alarming to hear you talk to them, but I'm going with it. I'm rolling with it. Hey, we're all sheltering in place. We're all sipping our tea and sipping in place.
Okay, so here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have a great recommendation for organic potting soil?
Yes.
That's our next purchase because we're getting this little shelf system and we're going to put our pots and grow some things outdoors. And then when it gets too cold, we're going to bring it all indoors. But we need a source for potting soil.
And don't say reach into the toilet and just pull out what you've done.
Oh, who said that, Gary?
Well, there's a lot of people that believe that, right? That you were
well,
discussing.
If we had acreage and we had property, we could compost everything, including our own poop.
Right. Our own smiling piles of poo.
And if you remember, I spoke with Will Bonsall a few years ago. I'm hoping to get him back on the program because he's doing some wonderful things.
Yeah, now Will has some great advice.
And his concept, he's a veganic gardener, and he's in his 70s now. He wants to keep everything in one place. So he wants to grow his food in his soil, eat the food, and then put it back. And we don't do that today.
Right.
In agriculture, for example. We dig through the earth's surface and get petrochemicals out to make fertilizer to share all over the world. And then we make food that gets shared all over the world, and people poop, and who knows what happens to their poop, but it doesn't really go back into the soil in a way that enriches the soil. And everything's all over the place, and things are deficient in one place and overgrown in other places. We have droughts and floods in different places. The world is so out of balance. And so the concept is to keep all of the nourishment in one place and keep it there.
Brilliant.
And keep it in a loop.
Right. Didn't we learn our lesson from the Dust Bowl? I guess not.
We did not. Oh, we did not. We created being able to water the soil with irrigation.
Right.
And that got rid of the drought problem. And meanwhile, we sucked up all of the water out of the aquifers underneath that were created in other times, in ice ages and such.
So we really can't go back
to normal. We can't go back. We have to learn from everything and create something new.
Right.
Not just next to normal, but better than we've ever seen. And that's our hope for the future and our hope for this program.
Yeah.
Which has come to an end.
Has it really? Wow, we did great today, huh?
We did.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair?
Everybody.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
Yes, and now that we've just about finished the rooibos chai, I'm going to have to make myself a real herbal concoction. I'm just wanting, my mouth is watering for like a warm thyme tea. Or iced. You can ice it.
Yes, you can.
I wanted to say one more thing.
Please do.
You can boil water and make herbal teas. You can boil water and make your green tea and your black tea. But what's even better is to brew them cold. Put them in a jar, put the cold water on them, leave them in the refrigerator, and enjoy them the next day.
We talked about this, I think, last week or the week before.
There'll be more antioxidants available.
Yeah, it bears repeating.
And that's the time. And summertime's the best time because we like to drink things that are cool or cold rather than
Summertime
hot.
Is the best time to drink thyme tea. Now, there's a layered sonnet for you.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
It's all about time, and we're out of time.
We're out of time, but we're not out of time.
Out of time. Exactly. We could say thyme, but we don't.
Thank you. We're out of thyme.
Thank you.
But we're not out of time.
Everybody, I'm Karen Hartglass. You've been listening to It's All About Food here with Gary Mattei and myself. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, have a delicious week.